Strava, or it didn't happen. It's not a real ride unless it was at least 40 miles. If your average speed is below 20.69 miles an hour, you're slow and you should quit cycling, and your mother doesn't love you, and you should feel bad about yourself, and your breath smells like garlic. This is my new phone. My SIM card is in here. I'm using it full time. It does 3 things. It makes calls, it sends texts, and it takes blurry photos of Seymour. It doesn't have Instagram or Strava, and it couldn't have it even if I wanted to. And it has improved my life immeasurably. So I stopped tracking my rides. I don't know how fast I'm riding. I can only guess how far I'm riding. I don't know how much elevation gain there is, or if I'm in the top 10% hardest riders in my area. And that sounded a lot grosser out loud. I don't take photos of my rides to show the world that I am indeed riding my bike and having fun. I just ride my bike and have fun, and sometimes I'll yell at a GoPro about it if I feel like it. I've completely stopped tracking my bike rides for about a month and a half now, and I have no intention of ever going back to tracking my bike rides, because this is the most fun I've had cycling ever since I started riding and fell in love with cycling. And the love of my cycling life is this video sponsor, Wabi Cycles. I've been riding a Wabi Special since 2018, since Wabi decided to sponsor me as my daily bike, and it is my favorite bike that I've ever ridden. And Wabi is the Japanese philosophy of finding beauty in simplicity, and Wabi Cycles exudes that with their fixed gear / single speed bikes, where when you strip back all the unnecessary things from something and really focus on nailing what is left, it creates an experience that is unlike anything else. So one of the ways that Wabi does that is that all of their bikes are made out of steel. My Wabi Special and the Wabi Classic are made of heat-treated Reynolds 725. This steel tubing is made in the UK and then expertly put together in one of the finest bike factories in Taiwan. I visited the factory, and Taiwan has some of the finest bike factories in the world. And bikes are extremely personal to you and me, so Wabi allows you to dial in your bike right out of the box, changing every single little detail if you so please. Stem length, your crank arm length, your gear ratio, all of these basic things that a lot of other bike makers overlook that make a really great riding experience when you nail them down, and Wabi lets you do that. Feel free to check them out, linked in the description. I'll talk about Strava since that's the app that I used, and it's the most ubiquitous cycling app. The purpose of Strava is that it is a motivational tool for competitive-minded cyclists, because you can track all of your stats and see how you're improving, and you can even see that in the tools that they are now giving people, where they can suggest ways that you should train. And the way that Strava has gamified cycling, where you can compare your stats to your friends and other riders, helps to feed the insecurity inside us to hopefully motivate us to become harder, better, faster, stronger cyclists. The problem is that Strava has become so ubiquitous that it's almost seen as weird if you are a somewhat serious cyclist and don't use Strava. And a lot of cyclists, including myself, have gravitated towards using Strava because we like to document and remember our rides and to just track our mileage. But even though we just want to track our mileage, all of those other competitive features are still bombarded at us. And the social comparison of not being the fastest on the segment or being slower than a 45-year-old is still there. Whether it's my cell phone or my bike, I've adopted a pretty Amish approach when it comes to technology, because the Amish aren't necessarily anti-technology. They just like to weigh the pros and cons of every single piece of technology and see if it fits within their lives and upholds their values. And I think that we need more of that in our modern lives. Like when I was in high school and smartphones were becoming more and more ubiquitous, I was one of the last people in my friend group to get a smartphone. And when we were all hanging out at my house and everyone was just on their phone, I would just be like, guys, this is f***ing lame. Why are we even hanging out if we're just gonna be on our phones? I apply the same thinking to my bike, where I only take what I need, because every single piece of technology has pros and cons. It creates solutions, but at the same time, it also creates problems. And that's why I like fixed gear bikes because they are as simple as possible. They are the first type of modern bicycle. They are as simple as can be, to the point where they don't even have brakes if you don't want to. And I don't need gears for where I'm riding and for how I like to ride. I don't need the complexity, the added cost, and the potential problems and extra maintenance that gears come with. And also, I just like the experience of riding a bike that's as simple as possible, because I can focus on what's important every single pedal stroke without having any other distractions get in the way. And while Strava is a very powerful tool for competitive-minded cyclists that want to quote-unquote improve, as in C number go up, it's not a very useful tool for just tracking your rides, because it comes with all these social comparison features where it makes you feel like that you suck at biking. It sucks the fun out of biking and turns biking into a chore. Basically, there's two types of cyclists. There's people that bike for sport, and there's people that bike for fun. And Strava is built for people that bike for sport. So why was I, as somebody who bikes for fun, using this tool when it doesn't even accomplish my goals, which is just to get out on my bike and have fun? In fact, it goes against my goals because it kind of sucks all the fun out of biking. And if you're interested more in this conversation about how technology affects our lives, I recommend reading the book Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport. Pretty eye-opening. Strava is a panopticon, and a panopticon is a type of prison where all of the cells are arranged in a circle, and in the middle of the circle is the guard tower, and the prisoners cannot see the guard tower. They don't know where the guard is looking at any point. That means that one guard in the guard tower can theoretically observe and keep an eye on every single prisoner in all of their cells. And that works because people will self-regulate and monitor their own behavior when they know that they are being watched. And we regulate ourselves when we choose to hit the record button on Strava, because Strava has built-in set of values where faster is better, farther is better, and ranking at the top of the leaderboards is better, and climbing more is better. More. So what I've found that when I hit record on Strava, it takes me out of the moment-to-moment fun of biking, because I am being observed by 5,000 followers on Strava in hopes that I will get their kudos. And then it doesn't become about the bike. It becomes about the ride, and whether my ride is good according to Strava or bad according to Strava. And then I keep thinking about, when I'm on my bike, is this a good ride? Should I be riding harder? Should I be riding faster? Should I ride with the wind instead of against the wind so that I can have a higher average speed? Should I keep riding so that my ride can say 50 miles instead of 35 miles, even though I don't really want to? This setup is very good. If you are a guard, you are a competitive cyclist, you want to hold yourself accountable, if you want to keep training and keep motivating yourself to be stronger and to push yourself harder and harder so that you can be the fastest cyclist that you can be. Because that's what Strava is for. It's a tool for monitoring yourself and to make you feel bad about yourself so that you will want to become better in terms of the values of competitive cycling. But this setup is a nightmare if you are a prisoner, and that is if you are somebody that just rides for fun, because it says that your ride isn't good enough and the way that you ride your bike isn't good enough and you need to change. Because Strava doesn't care if you had fun on your ride or not. It doesn't care if you got groceries and did something useful. It doesn't care if it got you to work. It doesn't care if you made friends on your bike ride. It doesn't care if cycling enriches your life. All Strava cares about is if number goes up. And if you have big number on bike ride, then you'll get big number of kudos. Reducing something as fun and as rich and as life fulfilling as cycling down to just Do you have big number? If you do have big number, then good. If you don't have big number, then bad. That just sucks all of the joy out of cycling for me as somebody who's not a competitive cyclist. So I stopped using it. And if you're somebody that bikes for fun rather than biking for sport, check out the Fixie Points t-shirt. It is absolutely 100% made in the USA. Cotton is grown in the USA. It is wove, cut, and sewn in the USA. And it is designed by an American and printed in the USA. To elevate your Fixie Points, check it out at zachgallardo.com/merch. I hosted a century ride and a lot more people showed up than I was expecting, which was awesome. But we ended up splitting into two groups. There was like the group that wanted to ride fast and was generally recording their rides on Strava and cared about stats. And then there was also the group that I was in, that just wanted to hang out and have a good time, which was also the slower group. And the whole time that me and my friends in the slow group were riding and chilling, we were having a great time. We were talking the entire however many hours that we were just pedaling. We talked about everything from like bikes to relationships to dick jokes, you know, just typical guy stuff. My GoPro overheated, as GoPros do, so I will finish this video at home. So there's 3 of us in the slow, chill, fun group, and there's about 10 people in the faster Strava average speed group, and we decided to meet up halfway. As me and my 2 friends pulled up to the spot, we were laughing, we were having a good time, but everybody in the fast group, they were just sitting down, dead silent. It was like pulling up to a funeral. I almost felt bad for how much fun we were having. And the fast group was there maybe 45 minutes to an hour ahead of us. They were riding pretty fast and everybody just looked dead tired. Like they just wanted to get the ride over with as fast as possible. Whereas the 3 of us in the slow, chill group were just having a good time and hanging out all day. There was suffering, don't get me wrong, but the 3 of us became much closer friends because of that ride, because we were biking at a pace where we could actually talk to each other. Not tracking my rides makes biking more fun for me. It allows me to be more in the moment of my ride because I'm not constantly evaluating how I should be riding. I end up doing a lot more slow rides. I end up doing a lot more just cruising around and exploring rides, and I don't feel bad for when I walk into a grocery store and I realize that my Strava is still recording and now my average speed is 8 miles an hour. It allows me to just focus more on breathing, on pedaling, on the environment, and just enjoying myself. Now if I want to document my rides, because I no longer have a smartphone, or even Instagram for that matter, Instagram banned me for no reason, so that's pretty cool. I have a whole video about it on my 3rd channel about photography if you want to check that out. But if I want to document my rides, now I just I take a film camera and I don't share it with anybody but myself because my ride is strictly for me. And I just take photos for the pure enjoyment of it. And, you know, maybe a few days later, a few weeks or months later, I'll look back on it and remember that ride, remember, you know, how much of a special time it was, and I love the photos that I get with my point and shoot film camera. And because I'm enjoying my biking more, I found that I've ended up riding more, as crazy as that sounds. I have more mileage, just bottom line. And because I just want to be out on my bike, because it's a fun time. And I don't need to prove that I had a fun time to anybody but myself. And I used Strava mostly because I wanted to track my mileage, and I have a pretty good sense of distance, so now I just write down my daily mileage inside a notebook. That's it. So if you're a non-competitive cyclist, you bike for fun, you don't bike for sport, I encourage you to try it out. To delete Strava for your phone for a week or 2 and see how much fun it is to ride your bike without trying to prove anything to anybody, and just do it for yourself.